Welcome back. Well, ever heard of someone say they'd die if they didn't have access to their cell phone with all their favorite apps on it? We're almost inseparable for our phones these days, but some may argue that the very apps meant to make the world a smaller place can actually be bad for us. Michael Apple takes a look.
Okay, for starters, let me say that a question I've always tussled with as a journalist is, can I effectively do my job and further my career without being on social media? Also, is social media addictive and can it impact one's mental health?
There's certainly a potential for it to be quite addictive. The psychological mechanism that we see involved there really mirrors the gambling addiction kind of a process. If you imagine putting in a coin and you're pulling the slot machine and then it doesn't pay and it doesn't pay and it doesn't pay and then it pays.
Clinical psychologist Hayden Noob says that with every thumbs up and share, we get a dopamine hit in the brain.
Temptation is higher to post something that is likely to get the response that they're looking for.
He argues that while it's definitely case-specific, generally speaking, mental health can be affected.
Certain types of anxiety is really strongly linked to isolation. So the higher the level of isolation, the higher the anxiety. In that sense, really receiving an impact from social media can increase that. Certain types of depression, isolation plays a very, very key role.
You can't talk about social media without discussing cyberbullying. Yes, you can be nameless and faceless, but sometimes what you share or post has consequences.
I am truly disgusted, horrified and ashamed of my behavior.
Some comments posted would never be said in person.
On social media, the distance is already there, and there's a bit of a dehumanizing on the receiving end. So the responses classically can come across or are often picked as very harsh.
If you work in a profession unavoidably linked to social media, set boundaries. Don't lie in bed reading what the trolls have written.
You're in the context of sleep, you've got an input from context of work. You now necessitate stress because you are powerless. You cannot control that context, but information has come from it. So you ensure helplessness.
Beyond the negativity, social media can be good for a laugh.
Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, Nambia.
And it can warm the heart. The irony, of course, is this story will be posted and shared on social media. It's how and what you use the platforms for that'll determine their impact. Social media detox, anyone? Michael Apple, Johannesburg.